Good afternoon, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV and the first live update of the day. It's Monday, the 10th of June, and yesterday we had about 17,000 subscribers. Today we have 522,000 subscribers. So a special thank you to every single person who's been sharing the channel with their friends, relatives, neighbors, and their enemies. Now, let's talk about the latest updates when it comes to the UK general election. Last night was absolutely chaotic for the Europeans in general, with the rise of the Conservatives and the Nationalists across the European continent. Of course, it's also happening in the UK with Reform UK. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but this is actually about what's happening now in this election against Nigel Farage and Reform. Despite all the support that they are getting, there seems to be a bit of a suppression going on. And Nigel Farage obviously has now been quite critical over the last 24 hours or so when it comes to the opinion poll companies. He said, I am demanding answers from Opinion Research, the company Opinion, and Savanta after taking on the banks. Perhaps the polling industry should be next. Now, the reason he said this was because over the last few days, despite all the support that the Reform are getting, there's been inconsistency, obviously, but when it comes to the results. But those who are familiar with how questions are taken by these firms and how they are provided in terms of the result and the outcome, you know that they prioritize the Tory party, the Labour Party, and then the Liberal Democrats. Reform UK, despite being neck and neck with the Tories right now, and you could make an argument that they are potentially at this point becoming the second party in terms of the wider support, in terms of the popular vote, even if not seats, they are still putting him in the lower category in terms of the others. So this is why Nigel Farage has been talking about this, saying for the avoidance of doubt, Opinion, and of course the person in charge, are suppressing the Reform vote. They deliberately group Reform with Women's Equality Party, Christian People's Alliance Party, Animal Welfare Party, English Democrats, the Liberal Party, and the TUSC. This must end now, because those are smaller parties who don't really get any vote, and you put them in the others category. When you look at what they're doing, the overall 202, that's based on all the respondents from the UK, from Great Britain, and it says, when you open up the list, Women's Equality Party, 1%, Christian People's Alliance Party, 1%, Animal Welfare Party, 0%, English Democrats, 0%, Liberal Party, 0%, Trade Unionists, TUSC, 1%, and then you got Reform UK, 88%, and then you got others on top of the others, that's 9%. So Reform UK, that is getting the largest support in the share, they are still being put in that category. And inside the category, you got the others of the others. That's why Nigel Farage is furious, and that's why, as he said himself, obviously he decided to go after the banks, the banking sector, when they were doing debanking, when they were cancelling people left, right, and centre, and he managed to get a bit of a victory. It's not he hasn't won the war yet, but there are small victories in battles that we are winning. So that's what he's doing. But then we have Callum Weir, the guy in charge, is the political and social research executive at Opinion, the company that did this. He decided to respond, right? Nigel Farage has claimed that Opinion doesn't prompt for reform. Obviously, when Nigel Farage was talking to Laura Kuenssberg on BBC News. Callum says, this is categorically not true. If you select other in our first how would you vote question, you are able to say you would vote for reform. How would we have their figure if we didn't prompt? So Callum admitted that you have to go to other to then select reform. You see the issue? They give you the obvious options, Labour and Conservatives. If you want to support reform, you have to go to other. He literally admitted. And they're saying, well, he said it's not true, but he actually confirmed it. We had Nigel Farage saying, hi Callum, you have just admitted to the world that you prompted Reform UK under other, which means you suppress our vote in your polling. Do you really want to fight over this? Now, there's been a lot of people over the last few hours trying to urge Nigel Farage to start this battle against the polling companies, just like how he did with the banks, because a lot of people have been skeptical about these companies. We knew that, but they didn't know the details. They don't know how they do their questioning, how they actually conduct these operations, how they actually get their research done, find the people, the respondents, and now we're getting more information. And if Nigel Farage starts this campaign, it wouldn't just help Reform UK, but actually it will help raise awareness with every single person out there in the country. I am not surprised that Callum, where from Opinion, one of the polling companies, is a little bit weird, because when you go back to his bio, it says political research and social research at Opinions, and then he's got his pronouns, he and him. When you look at that face with the moustache and everything, do you doubt when it comes to his pronouns? Does he really need to clarify? In case you didn't know, I'm he and him. Clearly, he has an issue. He's got issues. These people have issues. We know they have issues. They just need better therapists. What's wrong with you? Grow up and man up. You're a man. At least you could grow some sort of facial hair. I'm proud of you. Be proud of it. He's from Bath, so... all the liberal champagne socialists, the middle classes. Also, that necklace thing, I'm not really sure about that. It's very 1990s. Come on, Callum. He does look like, actually, he looks like a Persian nightclub owner from the 1970s. So that's Callum. But then we have also Guido Fawkes responding to Callum, saying, obviously when he said it's categorically not true, but then he admitted we do that. Guido Fawkes said, in which Callum admits that they don't prompt for Reform UK under claiming they do. Oops, Opinion. Oopsie. It's crazy. The whole thing is insane. That's why people are sick and tired of the whole cabal. Every single person. This is the elitist people trying to suppress support. This is the elitist people trying to find every single avenue to make sure that our voice is not being heard. And it's not really just about Reform UK, because not every single person is supporting Reform, but these are the people who are not supporting the Tories or Labour Party. We know that. They don't want anything. And they saw what happened last night across the Western European countries. They saw what happened in France, in Austria, in Belgium, in Germany. They know it's all kicking off. They have to find every single way that they have to bring us down. Now, they use the mainstream media on the one hand, they use their own pundits, so-called experts that they selectively find, and now they have this to deal with as well. They rig the system. It's the definition of rigging the system in general. They don't have to necessarily go steal ballot papers. It's rigging the game. They are rigging the game in the system against ordinary people. We're not going to give up. 2CTV will continue to expose them. And we're doing it on behalf of the New Media Revolution, 522,000 subscribers. We have our rally coming up, if you don't forget, hopefully. Where is it? There we go. 2CTV rally, 19th of June. Ladies and gentlemen, join us. Nigel will be there and a few others as well. We are going to be uniting the political right, as we have been trying to do over the last few weeks. We're going to give you more information later on in the day in terms of the actual how to get there and where we're going. It will be central London, obviously, but especially during election times, if you want to get all these people to get there. Unfortunately, we can't drag them across the country to Wales or Leeds. So apologies for that. Apologies if you're not from around London. But we'll keep you guys posted. 19th of June, we have this coming up. But of course, 27th of July also. We have the next big rally with Tommy and all the others as well, uniting the right, uniting anybody who's a patriot, even if we have some policy differences. It doesn't matter, because it's about the bigger picture. It's about the wider movement, whether you're a politician or an activist. Super chat from Keith Wilton. Thank you, sir, for your regular support. And Mike as well, saying the polling companies are only there to make money. Therefore, whoever pays them most gets on the list. So, to an extent, but there are also elements of those who work for these polling companies who have an agenda. They have a political agenda to shift the narrative, to shift the support, and that's the key point about when they use the opinion poll companies. And those who work for these places, like obviously this Callum guy, you can see he's woke with his pronouns. It's not really just about money, because these companies, capitalist companies used to be about money, not anymore, because the liberal woke have been infiltrating the corporations since the millennial generations obviously got a little bit weird all these years ago. Now they've grown up, now they're in their late 30s, early 40s, they now work for these companies, they are the executives, so they have their own agenda. They will use the platforms that they have, just like the media companies. Media companies were also about making money until now. They would make sure you get information so they could get the advertisers, they make money, they could pay the salaries, right? It was all about making sure everything's sexy to get the clicks, to get the of course the ratings. But now it's also about shifting the political agenda over the last couple of decades. So it's gone beyond just money. It's actually also about those who have the political ideology that want to use to push and further their own agenda. Small people want power. Being woke helps them a lot. Good point. Hugh says there needs to be a thorough check into the veracity of the polling system to ensure accuracy. There is the British Polling Council. They are the wider regulators, and Nigel Farage has now written a letter to them as the observers to basically do investigation. And generally speaking, they do an okay job, but they need to be prompted, and that's what we are doing. That's what Nigel Farage is doing, that in order to raise awareness. And one main point about this is that it's the same with Ofcom and all the others. Even the regulators have been infiltrated. You know that. So there are the British Polling Council. While they are there will be people, because they're bureaucratic, they have to do their job. We know that. But there are also people who would be trying to suppress this. So Nigel Farage has written a letter to them. Fine, it's a good start, but it's actually not. We're not winning yet. We haven't fully won. That's what we have. Someone is saying in the live chat. What? Oh, it's Wendy saying 20th of July, 27th of July, 27th of July, 27th of July. Just copy and paste it twice. It's of course the next big rally that we have with Tommy, as well as of course 19th of June, ladies and gentlemen, 2CTV rally with Nigel and a couple of surprise guests as well. Some of those who you might know happen to be Tory, but they've been betrayed by Rishi Sunak, and it's time for them to join the revolution. My God bless and keep you, but 34 years ago I got a cold, then got me. Oh no, it's about the cough again. Change my life and don't let it change. No. So basically, I had a basic cold last week, and I thought I was recovering. I decided to go out like an idiot, and now I'm back, and the cold is back, which reminds me I should have taken my tablets 15 minutes ago. So that's not good, is it? It's okay. Well, I can do it about a few minutes later. That's okay. Gary says the establishment will bring out the smear merchants for Farage now. Watch the media go into full swing. Far right. So we do actually have an update on that for you guys in case you don't know. You're going to love this. So, over the last couple of days, we had a lot of stories coming out against Reform UK and their candidates. There have been a lot of candidates saying some crazy stuff. One of them came out this morning. One candidate said basically that in the 1930s we shouldn't have listened to Churchill. Churchill was wrong, basically. We should have made a deal with Adolf, right? Stay neutral, like Switzerland. Stupid idea, obviously. It's not really the conservative position on this issue. But then the media made it a big story. It's just a random candidate in a seat that they're not going to win anyway. The reason for that is because a party like Reform UK didn't have enough time to properly vet the candidates. Now, that's not an excuse. I've been critical of Reform for the past couple of years, that they should have started earlier. They should have found candidates earlier. But they struggled. And of course, then Rishi Sunak called a snap election, so they had to do it quickly. There's always a couple of weirdos or people who don't understand the political tactics. Say things out of context, for example, or say crazy things in general. But then you had one of the spokespeople from Reform UK making excuses for that. I'm like, stop making it worse. On the one hand, don't fall for the cancel culture just because someone wants to cancel you because he said something controversial. But sometimes it's not always black and white. If you have candidates who are not professional, who are just amateurs, just idiots, don't have them in the first place. Don't fall for the cancel culture, but at the same time, don't have them in there in the first place. Then don't stop digging. Stop making excuses. It's bad. But the whole point is, the media are loving it. And this is just the beginning. They're going to go through every single member, every single activist, every single candidate for the next few weeks to find flaws, to find their skeletons in their closets. They're not going to do that with the Labour Party. They're not going to do that with the Green Party. We have so many candidates. In fact, on 2CTV, we've been obviously talking about a number of them since May when we had the local elections. Greens, Labour, Tories, all the dodgy candidates that they have. The mainstream media are not interested in those guys. But in fact, there's so many weirdos. But they're going to do it with Reform UK. But also, because they didn't have enough time, they did. About 4 years, by the way. They had 4 years. But especially the last couple of weeks. Don't be surprised if there are elements of the opposition also infiltrating parties like Reform UK. To basically make a mess so that they could blame the whole party and all the supporters. Because the narrative from the media today is just because there's one weirdo as a candidate, every single person who's supporting Nigel Farage and Reform UK are basically as bad as Adolf. Super chat from Danny saying, here's some of the Mossad. Here's some of the Mossad money. Much love from Israel. Thank you, Danny and Mossad, for the support. And Libel says that doesn't sound like a genuine reform candidate, but more like a genuine leftist saboteur. Yeah, that's what I guess as well. I mean, that could happen too, but it could also just be some weirdos. Because again, the weirdos is a better word than saying like far right or far left or anything like this. Because yes, we need more normal people in politics and less polished politicians, but you still need people who understand basic political tactic. You need to understand how politics works. You can't have a bunch of amateurs who don't understand. You need to be academic. You don't need to be some sort of a philosophical, political person to get to be intellectual. No, you still need to have at least street smart. You need to understand life. Don't fall for the pathetic mainstream media. It's embarrassing. Super chat from Mr. Privacy. Tommy is morally right. He's covered in an unfair mud, but they then use him to smear that mud on others in the view of the public. Is he more effective as a front man or in the background? Screw you. No, but Tommy can't do background because there are some people who are built for the front line. There are those who are good with their brain and the strategy that you need in the behind the scenes, and some are good for as the face. Now you might say Tommy was controversial as a face, but the skill that Tommy has is still rallying the troops. You need certain other mentalities. Even I can't do behind the scenes. Behind the scenes strategy requires a very specific set of skills, but people like us, we can rally the troops, we can spread the information, we can of course raise awareness, and that's a whole different point. Next super chat, Brian Lizard, thank you. So no doubt that the Labour Party will win, but we need Reform UK as the opposition party. But this is what Nigel Farage obviously has created as a narrative for this election and the next few years. He said this is a 5-6 year plan. It is not being delusional to say we are going to win government this election. This is about basically becoming the main opposition party for what's going to happen 5 years from now, 6 years from now, well, 5 years now, for the next election. It could be before, by the way, because if we end up having a hung parliament somehow, and Labour operates as a minority government or some sort of coalition with other left-wing parties, we don't do coalitions in this country. The only times we've done coalitions is when it was needed or it felt needed, and you can only have coalition when you have a centre-right party. Back in the day, of course, the Conservatives, even with Churchill, or even in 2010 with Cameron, and the other partner in the coalition to be similar. In terms of same mentality. So Nick Clegg worked well with, of course, David Cameron. Even when it came to the war coalition government and cabinet, there was similarity. You couldn't have had a communist and a conservative working together. It doesn't really work. You can't really have all the left-wingers. We're not Germany. We don't do coalitions. It's not in our blood. So if we have some sort of hung parliament situation, and if Labour operates as a coalition, that coalition could easily collapse within a year or two, because the political left always ends up eating itself. You're going to have the battle of egos between the SNP side, the Lib Dems, the Greens, the Labour Party. So the best case scenario is basically have some sort of hung parliament, Reform UK, basically the opposition, and then they could actually do something. They will have time, a couple of years, to basically build their party even better than now. Obviously, get rid of all the weirdos, anyone who's not being vetted properly, and have a serious party for next time. Fed Up Brit says, there is a candidate for reform who is friendly with Hope Not Hate. He's a regular at Speaker's Corner, and Tommy Robinson called him out when he tried to set him up. I will get that information from Tommy later. I don't know which candidate this is, but it's not really a surprise if some of them have infiltrated Reform UK, because, of course, Reform didn't have enough time, as they say, to vet their candidates and find good quality candidates. This happens, unfortunately. So there will be some saboteurs to bring down the party from within. Anyway, Morgan says, thank you very much for keeping us informed, having a great energy, positivity to keep going. It's all about, as they said back in the 30s and 40s, keep calm and carry on, I guess. But as we keep calm and as we carry on, we also have only, what is it, like 9 days? 9 days to go. I know it's a bit last minute. We'll give you more information later on, hopefully, but we're just confirming the details. The TCTV rally, 19th of June. Of course, then next month we have 27th of July with the rally with Tommy and all the others. We're going to get Nigel. We're going to get all the others, Tyson, some of the Conservatives who are not really Tory loyalists with Rishi. We're going to get basically people to come together. This is to, of course, at the same time, celebrate the 500,000 subscribers, which is now getting close to 600 by the time we have the event, and to rally the troops, to unite the political right, even if you have some differences in terms of party differences, in terms of policies. It's about the bigger picture. So 19th of June, next Wednesday in central London. We'll give you more information later on. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.